Good morning. So, we will be beginning with the second chapter of Unit 5, that is Child Rights. Child rights etymologically means the meaning of the word, the origin and meaning of the word. That all theory and learning is called etymology. Okay. The term child is derived from Latin word infans. Now, this is very important. Latin word infans, which means the one who does not speak. According to Convention on Rights of Child, a child is any human below the age of 18 years unless under the law applicable majority is attained earlier. That means if the law that applies on the child because of the region or nation or religion in which to which he belongs, in which he lives, if the age of majority is 16 years, okay, then that would be the age of his um then below the age of this 16 years the person will be considered to be a child. But if there is no such thing prescribed, then it will be 18 only for everybody. So that is a convention is not legally binding, and anything also that is framed on an international level, that is considered to be a weak law, because there is no binding force on those conventions. That means if a nation does not follows it, okay, then there will be no sanction or no punishment for those people. Fine. So child is any human belonging to below the age of 18 years unless the law which is applicable it says something different. तो 18 ईयर्स इज़ द मिनिमम स्टैंडर्ड. कुछ कंट्रीज़ में हो सकता है 21 ईयर्स को समझा जाए, राइट. सो दैट विल बी taken up. But what it says is that if it is attained earlier, that will be considered. Otherwise, the minimum standard which is set internationally is 18 years. समझ में आ रहा है? In India, person is deemed to be a major on attaining the age of 18 years under Indian Majority Act. The law, policy, practice of child welfare has undergone a significant change from historical perspective. Means from the past to present it has gone a change. Earlier there was concept of authority and control. That means who will be controlling? The head of the family. Who is the head of the family? Male, and that is generally the father. So father had absolute rights over children. After this, the welfare principle was reflected in the dominant ideology. That means maybe the dominant person of the family is not considering what is at the best for the other members. Okay, he is just having that control, centralized power, but that is not done, or that is not whatever he is doing is not happening for the best welfare of the child. Fine. So, Indian traditional view of welfare is based on daya, mercy, dan, dakshina, that is to gift or to donate, right? Bhiksha, ahimsa, that is non-violence. Tyag, matlab ki uh, sacrifice. Yes, so these are the 6 principles. You can learn it like this or whatever you want to, but you need to remember. It may come as a one liner question or whatever, depends upon the school. Traditional view of welfare is based on these 6 terms. I have told you what they mean. It was believed that welfare of children depended upon these values. That means you have to incur these values to your children. Daya, to have sympathy, empathy for the people around, to donate something to the person who is more needy than them, right? So that would be for the welfare of children, because if today I am giving somebody an article, then we would have some sort of bond, like natural bond आ जाएगा कि इसने मेरी इस टाइम पर मदद करी थी. So it may happen that there is a probability that the other person will help me tomorrow if I need it, right? So that happens. That can go from one way to the other. Bilaterally, that can flow. So these values should be inculcated, and that can only ensure the welfare of child. It was only during the 20th century that concept of children's right emerged. This shift in focus from welfare to rights approach is significant. So understand, Earlier, what we were saying, welfare of children. Now, what we are studying, rights of children. Right? So, the shift was from welfare concept to rights concept. That for welfare of children, they should have these values. But now, what are their rights as a matter of being human? That developed in the 20th century. 20th century means, yes, I hope you know. The rights approach is primarily concerned with issues of social justice, non discrimination, equity, and empowerment. Means what all rights ensure that the child gets social justice, means in the society he gets justice, he gets what is reasonable and the best of all for him. He is not discriminated against anybody on any grounds whatsoever. The basic grounds, you know, as per the Indian constitution also. So that can be said to be equality also, isn't it? Equity, that means again reasonableness, non arbitrary, or something like if there is no law at place for a certain issue, then whatever is just and reasonable in that circumstance, that should be granted to him. Okay. And empowerment means something lacking behind or is not getting some facility which he should get, that is suppose right to education. Why we say right to education? Yes. So that is also one of the approach that has been shifted in the 20th century. Rights perspective is in United Nations Convention on Rights of Child, which is a landmark. So this convention you will be dealing with more in this chapter, which is an international human rights landmark. India ratified the convention in 1992. That means India has become a part of it, and if it is ratified, that means it will frame some laws so that the provisions of the convention can come into force in India. As I told you, convention is not as such binding on any country. So for it to gain that binding force in a particular country, what the country has to do कि अपने national arena में उसको लॉ बनाना होगा, उसके प्रोविजंस को लेकर कुछ लॉ बनाना होगा टू एग्जीक्यूट द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द इंटरनेशनल कन्वेंशन. ओके. The convention gives all basic human rights to children that will enable them to achieve their full potential. As I told you, rights means what basic things or what basic aspects of life a child must have in all circumstances, whatever may, as a human. Okay. So all those basic rights which he should have so that he can utilize his or her full potential and give his best in future to the development of society. As we say, youth is the future. These include civil, economic, social, cultural, and political rights. So, rights can be various categories in the civil category, economic level, social arena, cultural, and political. Social arena can be, you can say, as a part of non discrimination. For an example, that girl is not discriminated against a boy, girls are not being sent to school but boys are sent to school. What will you do after gaining education? Ultimately you have to do the kitchen course only. This is the most common thing which is said to girls, and they are barred from getting the education which their male counterparts are getting. Yes. So that can be one aspect or one example. Civil rights include protection from torture and maltreatment. Making of special rules governing the circumstances under which children may be deprived of their liberty, that is freedom, is also civil rights. So you can make some rules that will provide them freedom, okay, to do whatever he wants to do, or to move freely, or to have his a dignified life. That all can be part of civil rights. And also the protection from torture. They can also be beaten up, but sometimes whatever beaten thing is done from part of parents, that is for ultimately the welfare and to inculcate right values and to lead the child on a right path. But if that torture, that harassment is done by somebody other, चाय की दुकान पे काम करने वाला जो बच्चा है उसको मारपीट उसके साथ मारपीट कर रहा है कोई, सो दैट कैन बी अ maltreatment or torture. Economic rights include right to ensure proper development and protection from exploitation at work. Though they cannot work, right? Child below the age of 14 years, that is child labor again. But to protect from exploitation at work, that is economic right, because economic is only considered with livelihood basically. Social rights include right to highest attainable standard of health services, means the highest standard which can be attained or obtained regarding health, protection from sexual exploitation and regulation of adoption. Right to education is included in cultural rights. Now we come on to right to education. Right to education. Education means transmission of values and accumulated knowledge of a society. So whatever the knowledge that has been collected, or the books, this book that you are studying, what is this? An accumulated knowledge which is poured in by a person or collection of persons in the form of a textbook, right? So those values, those knowledge are distributed, or they are transmitted from one generation to another. It helps children in knowing their culture, molding their behavior in ways of adulthood, and directing them towards their eventual role in society. Because today's youth will be tomorrow's future. That means they will have to work now. They will be somebody's husband or wife in the future. They would have to lead their families, and so on and so forth. Right? So that would be that what is the nature or way of living when they gain adulthood, what is the expected standard from them, okay, and how to what are the gender roles which are prescribed in the society, that one has to work for the house, one has to earn livelihood and go out, all that stuff. So according to that, they will mold themselves, and they will also know the history, right, what all is being taught in the schools and in the books, that all concept. If there is no education, they would not know about the laws which are in force for their welfare, right? That's why we say, no, whenever there is a question of कि rights क्यों नहीं पता है लोगों को, कि ये laws उनके फेवर में पता है, ये laws उनके फेवर में बने हैं, people don't have knowledge about it. Why? Because there is lack of awareness, isn't it? And lack of awareness comes from illiteracy. RTE is one of the fundamental rights under Article 21A, which is inserted by 86th Amendment. This is a very important part, not just for this exam, but for any exam that comes. This is a very important question. It provides that state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children between the age of 6 to 14 years. State means the government. Okay, the government body or authority has to provide free. That means no cost will be charged from the children, and it is compulsory to be provided to all, regardless of any grounds of, see, it is written children, it is nowhere written इस place के children, इस caste के, इस religion के, या इस gender के, ऐसा कुछ भी ground नहीं दिया हुआ है, isn't it? So that is a non-discriminatory and equality approach provision, that is to all children the education has to be provided which belong to the age group of 6 to 14 years. And hereby free education which is provided by the state, that means in the government schools. Okay, you may see the age group studying in the private schools, so they will not have this RTE right. Okay, they have the compulsory education part and they may get that in private schools, but that is not free, of course, right? So you cannot claim that अरे हमें तो free नहीं मिला और state की responsibility थी हमें free देना. तो जो free education वो जहाँ provide कर रही है, you have to get enrolled in that. Yes, the state has to promote educational and economic interest of weaker sections of society and SCs and STs, right? And for that we have reservations and some other special provisions which are made for such weaker sections of the society. Why weaker sections? Because as the word suggests, they are weak or they are lacking behind in something. That may be from the economic point of view, that because they live in a remote area, that it is not possible for them to earn more, or they do not have a certain standard of better livelihood source of income. Then to bring them into the mainstream, or to do the development of those sections of society also, or to bring them at equality with the other persons living in the society, because everybody wants equality, right? Everybody wants to develop or to have a handsome amount of money as salary to sustain a better life, isn't it? So that is known as to uplift the weaker sections of the society, for which the state has the responsibility and it can make effective special provisions for those sections. Mandatory duty of state to make effective provisions for securing right to education to its economic capacity and development, means whatever amount of money it can allocate to providing education according to the expenses or budget. हर गवर्नमेंट का बजट भी होता है, बजट पास होता है ना गवर्नमेंट का, whether it is central or state, some part of it is allocated to the education sector. Why? See, it is free for the children, but expenses कोई ना कोई तो उसका उठा रहा है ना, and कौन expenses उठा रहा है? The state. So out of the budget of the state, some has to be provided according to the economic capacity and development which is required in that area by the state. State or the government gives books, food and shoes, socks, bags, uniform, all that is provided from the government in government schools. Okay. Moreover, a fundamental duty has been imposed on parent and guardian also. So it is the duty, it is the right of children, and if there is a right, there would be a corresponding duty of the same on some other person. Okay, so if the right is of a child to get compulsory education, then it is duty of the corresponding person. Who will be corresponding to a child? The parent, guardian. So it is the duty of that parent or guardian, so that he also provides compulsory education to the child between the same age group, 6 to 14 years. And since it is a fundamental duty, so it is under Article 51A subclause K, which is also inserted by 86th Amendment. Okay, please remember the articles and the amendments. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act was passed by Parliament in 2009. Some of the salient features are given. The Act ensures that children get education irrespective of their economic condition. As I told you, कुछ भी उसमें parameter नहीं दिया है. It only says all children. So डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कुछ भी नहीं है. इक्वालिटी इस्टेब्लिश करते हुए सबको एजुकेशन फ्री एंड कंपलसरी दिया जाना है इन द एज ग्रुप. Financial burden for implementation is to be shared by central and state government. So the act has to be implemented. RTE is a law which is made by the central government. So it will be applied to the whole of India. Now even the state of Jammu and Kashmir is a part of India by abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. Right? So it applies to whole of India. Fine. So whatever will be the expenses, as I told you, ये फ्री स्टूडेंट्स के लिए है, बट उसका खर्चा कोई तो उठा रहा है, एंड दैट इज़ द गवर्नमेंट. सो दैट विल बी शेयर्ड इन प्रपोर्शन बाय द central and state government on the basis of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan program of central government. Now this is another program which is prevalent, and you may see if you have come across any government school or something, यहाँ पर लिखा भी होता है सर्व शिक्षा अभियान. सर्व means to all, शिक्षा means education, अभियान means a program. Right? So education to all. It provides for 25% reservation for EWS, that is economically weaker society section of the society, in all private and minority schools. So 25% reservation is not only for the गवर्नमेंट स्कूल, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी गवर्नमेंट स्कूल फ्री में ज़्यादातर वही बच्चे जाते हैं जो अफोर्ड नहीं कर पा रहे एक्सपेंसेस. राइट? सो 25% reservation for EWS is also now in all private and minority schools of the country. Private schools have to face penalty if they violate this provision. Means if they have not kept, or if they are not giving 25% reservation to the EWS category, then they have to face penalty for that. Means it's a mandatory provision. Right to health. Health is what? Health can be physical, health can be mental, health can be social well-being. Means turns from the society, social well-being, right? बहुत मोटी हो, बहुत पतली हो, so that can be harassment from the society. Mental, कि उसके इसी टॉन्स की वजह से वो डिप्रेशन में चला गया, अच्छे स्टेट ऑफ माइंड में नहीं है वो. ठीक है. फिजिकल, that means from the physical lookout, he is you may have seen some very thin children. That is the result of malnutrition which is appearing on their physical appearance. Yes. It is not merely absence of disease or infirmity. So a person is healthy, that cannot only be judged on the basis of that he is not having any disease, या he's not disabled, so he is healthy, कि हम नहीं बोल सकते. But it is a combination of complete physical, mental and social well-being. It is not either of them, but it is all of them. Okay. Enjoyment of highest attainable standard of health is one of fundamental right of every human being without distinction of any of the grounds. Healthy development is one of the basic needs and ability to live harmoniously in a changing environment, which is essential for development. So healthy development is one of the basic needs कि उसे 2 square meals a day मिले, उसको वो सारी nutritions मिले, so that he can develop and be a better person in the future. Right, that is one of the basic need and also his right. And for living harmoniously in the changing environment, to develop with the time and situation, it is important also that such healthy development is ensured. The extension to all people of benefits of medical, psychological related knowledge is essential for the most comprehensive attainment of health. That means the medical benefits. Psychological means दिमाग का. So you can see कि physical can be related to medical, even mental can be related to it, but mental can more or less actually be related to psychological. एंड सोशल वेलबींग सो रिलेटेड नॉलेज कि हमें बच्चों के साथ ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए. वी शुड डील विद देम सॉफ्टली, सॉफ्ट स्पोकन लैंग्वेज में. उनके सामने अब्यूसिव लैंग्वेजेस या स्लैंग्स यूज़ नहीं करने चाहिए. दैट वुड हैव एन एडवर्स इम्पैक्ट ऑन देम. इफ़ दे हैव डन समथिंग रॉन्ग, डोंट थ्रैश देम हार्ड, बट you can, little bit of beating can be good for leading them onto the right path, or to explain them that this was a wrongful act and this should not be repeated in future. Right, so all these soft or such explanations can be helpful, so that the comprehensive attainment of health that includes all these factors can be ensured. Fine, because if you are over stressing on a situation again and again, it can impact the mental health of the child adversely. He may also be thinking कि अरे इतना क्या बुरा कर दिया, इतना बुरा हूँ क्या मैं कि इन लोगों को मेरे से हर समय प्रॉब्लम ही रहती है, ये लोग हर समय मुझे डांटते रहते हैं, मैं किसी को अच्छा नहीं लगता. एंड ऑल दैट थॉट्स मे कम इन द माइंड. ओके, एंड ही मे नॉट बी एबल टू डेवलप. उसका दिमाग इन्हीं सब में लगा रहेगा, तो बाकी अच्छी चीज़ों में, पढ़ाई में और अच्छा बच्चा बनने में वो आगे लगाएगा नहीं. सो दैट विल नॉट बी ensuring the harmonious living of the child, which is essential for the development. Okay, so mental health will be affected, there will be no healthy development of the child, and he will also not be able to live harmoniously. Okay, so these all are interconnected. बहुत बेसिक एग्जाम्पल दिया था मैंने. WHO is a specialized agency of United Nations that is concerned with international public health. And having said that, WHO does not only apply to children, but it is an specialized agency of international public health, so it applies to all the age groups. Consumer Education and Research Center versus Union of India, right to health and medical care was declared as a fundamental right under Article 21, read with 39C 4143. Now you need to look out what these articles say. That is your homework. Okay, so Article 21, as you know, it is the most organic and living and breathing article of the whole constitution. It has a very wide ambit, और हर aspect of a dignified life can be included within it. And a dignified or a healthy life, healthy development of the person can only be possible if he is healthy, or if he is given the due medical care that he needs at a situation. Accident हो गया, but medical facility नहीं मिली proper on the correct time, तो क्या होगा? वो वहीं पर on the spot मर भी सकता है, राइट, कोमा में जा सकता है, या कुछ और ग्रेव सिचुएशन हो सकती है उसके साथ, बिकॉज ऑफ द रिजल्ट दैट उसको करेक्ट मेडिकल फैसिलिटी करेक्ट टाइम पर नहीं प्रोवाइड करी गई. राइट, सो दैट फॉल्स अंडर द वायलेशन ऑफ अ डिग्निफाइड लाइफ विच has to be guaranteed to him or her. So that's why right to health and medical care was declared as a fundamental right. और इसीलिए गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स भी होते हैं. पश्चिम बंगा खेत मजदूर समिति versus state of West Bengal. Article 21 imposes obligation on state. Now, as I told you, if there is a right of somebody, there will be a corresponding duty on the other of the same thing. So if it is the right of life of every person or right of health under right to life of Article 21 of every person of the country, then corresponding duty किसकी होगी? गवर्नमेंट की. क्योंकि अगर सिटीजन्स का कुछ राइट है तो वो करस्पॉन्डिंग जाएगा ड्यूटी पे of the government, and government over here is written as state. If you want to learn more that what is state, तो आप आर्टिकल 12 ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को रेफर कर सकते हैं. A constitutional duty has been imposed on state to ensure that health and strength of workers, men, women, and tender age of children are not abused. That means the health and strength of workers, health है तभी strength होगा. अगर हेल्दी नहीं होंगे, थोड़ा सा बुखार आता है, हम लोग छुट्टी ले लेते हैं और फिर काम पे नहीं जाते या स्कूल नहीं जाते, है ना, बिकॉज हम उस फिजिकल हेल्थ में या फिजिकली वी आर नॉट फिट टू परफॉर्म द वर्क. Right? So if we are healthy, we are strong and we can perform well. That can be at academic level or the professional level or whatever. Right? So there is the duty of the state, constitutional duty. Why? Because it is imposed by the constitution. Okay? Imposed by one of the provisions of the constitution. You can see these provisions which are given. Also Article 21, which forms a corresponding duty of the government. Then it has to ensure that children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and conditions of freedom and dignity. Dignified life again will come under Article 21 only, and freedom, that is liberty. So they should be awarded what basic human rights are, because they are also humans. Okay, human है, बस 18 साल से कम के ह्यूमन है, बट ह्यूमन तो है. सो बेसिक राइट ऑफ फ्रीडम एंड डिग्निटी हैव टू बी प्रोवाइडेड टू देम ऑल्सो, एंड दे आर ऑल्सो गिवन द अपॉर्चुनिटी विच दे कैन बैग, दे कैन यूटिलाइज टू बिकम अ बेटर पर्सन और टू डेवलप इन अ बेटर वे प्रोफेशनली, राइट, टू हेल्प द सोसाइटी मे बी इन फ्यूचर. Moreover, their childhood will be protected against exploitation. उनको काम नहीं करना है बिलो द एज ऑफ 14 ईयर्स, उनको हेल्थ मेंटेन करना है, उनको एजुकेशन देना है. सो दीज आर ऑल द अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ विच आर प्रोवाइडेड टू देम. एजुकेशन इज ऑल्सो अ सॉर्ट ऑफ फैसिलिटी एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी विच इज़ प्रोवाइडेड. यू डोंट हैव मनी, okay, you are not able to afford education or the expenses financially, okay, fine, we are providing you the facility, you come and study over this in this government school and get the education. So that is an opportunity for them. जो बैक करेगा उसको, वो आकर वहाँ पढ़ लेगा और वहाँ पर भी एक्सेल कर जाएगा. ठीक है, this was an example. Health of infant and mother has to be protected by maternity benefit. Primary duty of state is to improve public health, secure justice, humane conditions for work. Okay, so whatever work is being done in an institution, उसकी conditions humane है, बहुत गंदा है, unhygienic है, और वहाँ पर बोला जा रहा है कि suppose आपको यहीं पे काम करना है. So that may not be a human condition for people to work. The protection of women from harassment. The women who are working in an institution, they also have to be protected from harassment. Agar they are in constant fear that they will be harassed by some or the other person and there is no law for their protection which is prevalent in that institution, or there is nobody to listen to her कि मेरे साथ इस बंदे ने ये बदतमीज़ी करी, कोई सुनने को तैयार नहीं है वहाँ पर, कोई उस बंदे को पनिशमेंट देने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, तो क्या होगा? डर के मारे वो अगले दिन से आना छोड़ देगी. There will be a loss of a capital, human capital to work. There will be loss of livelihood of that person as well. And maybe the reputation of the institution also will get affected, right? So overall work, that will be at detriment. So it is important for every institution and the duty of the state at last to improve public health, secure justice, humane conditions for work. Also, extension of sickness, old age, disablement, maternity benefits. That means sickness है, जैसे some institutions provide sickness leave also. I am not feeling well, so I am applying for this leave. Old age, retirement का provision है. after they attain a certain age, right? 60 or 65 years or 62 years in some cases as well. Disablement का भी रिजर्वेशन दिया जाता है, एंड द पाथवेज आर ऑल्सो मेड डिफरेंट, स्लाइडिंग वाले बनाए जाते हैं ना. मैटर्निटी बेनिफिट्स व्हेन द वुमन इज प्रेग्नेंट, तो उनको 6 मंथ्स का लीव दिया जाए ताकि उस समय जो अनबॉर्न है और द मदर एज वेल, दे आर इन अ गुड हेल्थ कंडीशन एंड नॉट ओवरलोडेड विद वर्क, क्योंकि उस समय टेंशन भी नहीं लेनी है, ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस लेना इज़ नॉट गुड फॉर द चाइल्ड. So again, that comes under the health of child. May be unborn, but he will be born on some date, no? So you, I don't know you know or not, but even an unborn is considered to be a person for purposes of law. Further, the state's duty includes prohibition of consumption of intoxicating drinking. Intoxication means which can produce some sort of नशा, you can say. ठीक है, सो वैसे ड्रग्स या ड्रिंक्स को प्रोहिबिट करना भी स्टेट का ड्यूटी है. Mandatory duty has been imposed on state to protect and impose a pollution-free environment. Now, pollution-free environment, why? Because pollution affects the health of humans, right? Asthma और पता नहीं क्या क्या breathing diseases हो सकते हैं from air pollution, for example, right? So, a pollution-free environment is also one of the criteria for ensuring good health, which again is the duty of citizens. So, for ensuring a better life of citizens, all the duty falls on the state. Okay, and this pollution free environment also comes under article 21. Fine. Right to shelter is also under article 21, but I will be dealing it in the next video. Thank you.